Hey! Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Darylyn, and today I have something for you guys that I think is going to be really fun. A couple of months ago now, I think it was, I did a video of my spring 2021 plant haul, and so today I have growth updates for you. Like, I just want to warn you guys, don't get too excited, because some of them have done really well, some of them haven't really done anything, some of them have done worse than not doing anything, but that's okay because it's all a journey. So let's get into these growth updates of these lovely plants. But before we do, if you could please do me a solid and give this video a like. If this topic intrigues you, please subscribe for more content. It's the only way that you'll never miss an upload. But now, without further ado, let's get into the plants. Okay, so the first plant that I hauled in my spring plant haul video was a Philodendron micans. And at the time, it was just a whole bunch of cuttings that was given to me by my friend. It looked cute, but it was definitely just a whole bunch of cuttings in a pot. Not anymore. Ta-da! It's a whole friggin' tiny bush. Look at this. It's so... it's grown so much, you guys. I am so happy. I honestly, really couldn't have had higher expectation for how well this plant did. It just loves me, apparently. Has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that Philodendron micans is notorious for being an easy, awesome, amazing, wonderful plant that gives you nothing but love. No, it's all me. It loves me. It loves me. Okay, so yeah, I'm just absolutely thrilled with it, and it looks so good. I just had it propagating in water. My friend started it off for me, but I did kind of cut the cuttings into kind of smaller pieces because I wanted a really full plant. Just kept them in water for, pretty much a really long time until the roots started to have little secondary roots coming off of them. And if I'm not mistaken, I think this is just in regular Miracle-Gro potting soil with a little extra perlite thrown in there. Super easy plant, super great grower. It's really awesome. They're still really affordable. So if you really want to Philodendron micans, but you just really want a giant hanging basket and all you can find are little cuttings, don't sweat it. They grow super fast and they propagate really easy. But this is my update on my micans, and I just am completely ecstatic with the results I got on this one. Okay, so for the next one, this is gonna be a quick one. So I got a Philodendron montanum in a trade with a friend, and it was just a little small baby. And it was actually the second Philodendron montanum that I have brought into my care because I killed the first one. Long story short, I found that in the back of the grow tent the other day, just dead. Oh! So, oops. Yeah, I really don't know how that happened, because basically every other plant I've ever left in the grow tent just completely thrives, and I'm pretty sad about it. So my bad. Yeah, all right, it's very sad, but we won't dwell on it. So the next one that I got was also from a trade, and it was a beautiful Philodendron pink princess, and I have it right here to show you. So when I hauled it in the video, I think it had maybe these 2 leaves. It had 2 of these leaves, and then these really pink ones were the ones that the cutting started out with. And yeah, unfortunately, doesn't look like she really wants to be super pink for me, which is kind of disappointing. I did trade for this plant, so at least I'm not out the money, but yeah, it's a shame. I can see variegation on the stems that just didn't make it all the way to the leaf. Which is so frustrating. So I don't know. I mean, I've got it on my plant shelf behind me on the shelf that has the double lights on it. So I mean, hoping that it'll coax out some more variegation. But at this point, I'm kind of thinking I might just have to cut it eventually, but we'll see how it goes. I don't know. I mean, it's still kind of a cool plant, even if it isn't pink, but a little bit of a disappointment as far as variegation goes, but I mean, it's growing great. It seems to really like pond. It's rooting like crazy. I noticed that it grew out of the bottom of the self-watering pot, so that definitely needs a repot at some point. But I guess I can add myself to the list of people who've been personally victimized by Philodendron Pink Princess. Alrighty, so the next one was a lovely Philodendron Billietier cutting that I got from another friend in a trade, and it just wasn't doing anything for the longest time. It just did nothing. It was in the grow tent. I tried to do it in moss. I tried to do it in lekka. I tried to do it in perlite. I tried everything. It didn't want to do anything. And finally, I added some rooting hormone to it and just put it in water, and it finally decided it wanted to live. And in that video, all it had was just a little tiny like nub of like a root starting, but now we have some beautiful, beautiful lekka roots. It's doing amazing. It's rooting like crazy. I'm so happy and so relieved because I really, really didn't want to lose this plant. No new leaves yet, but that's okay. I mean, plants that you put in the lekka, they spend a lot of time and energy rooting first before they give you leaves. So I'm sure if I just stay patient with it, eventually it'll give me a leaf. But I'm very, very, very pleased with what I've got here. Oh my God, this little root, that's actually the end of the root. That's not the beginning of the root. It's like growing up and out of the cup already. Wow. I'm gonna have to like maybe rearrange this in here or maybe even repot it. So definitely rooting like a champ. Super happy about it because I just think Philodendron Billietier is so gorgeous. And I'm absolutely thrilled that this one seems like she is about to get ready to start absolutely thriving. So the next plant that I held last time was an Anthurium black crystallinum that I got in a group import order. When she arrived to me, she had this leaf here, which is like absolutely gorgeous, no complaints, but she had absolutely zero roots. And I think in my sexy plants modeling cute planters or cute pots haul, I showed that she had grown a ton of roots and was looking really good, and I was like crossing my fingers that I would get a new leaf soon. And ta-da! Check it out. She's giving me a new leaf, and it is so far absolutely flawless and perfect. Crossing my fingers, but I think I have every reason to expect that this leaf is going to be even more spectacular than the last one. So I'm absolutely thrilled with this plant. I did put it into pon, so I am still kind of on my pon journey, but this is the real lechuza pon, so it actually already has like fertilizer and everything in it. So I think this plant is gonna do fine in this substrate, but I love Anthurium. I think most of you guys are aware that I absolutely love Anthurium, and this plant is just close to the top of the list of my favorites. It's very cooperative, absolutely gorgeous, perfect. It's hard not to love. So if you guys get a chance to get your hands on one of these, I highly recommend them because, oh, so gorgeous. And it rooted up super easy and super fast in my grow tent. So, you know, put it into some moss. I gave it a little bit of perlite too, and, you know, give it some high humidity and decent light. Like, you shouldn't have an issue with it, even if it does arrive completely unrooted. So love this plant. I feel like this plant and the micans are like tied for having done the best. I probably should have saved that for the grand finale. Whatever. So I guess I'll bring the micans back so you can just see. This is what success looks like, people. Don't get used to it on this channel. I'm just kidding, but I am really excited about both of these plants, but I think I'm honestly the most excited for this one. I think it gets the gold star for the most successful of the plant haul from the spring. Okay, so now for the biggest plant that I hauled last time. This is a Philodendron xanum silver, and as you can see, it's looking a little bit wonky. That's because I had it on top of the plant shelf, and it was back before I put another grow light up there, so it was like leaning down to get light from this lamp that's right here. And so this is like, it looks very sad, but it's not because the plant is unhealthy. It was just leaning towards the light. I had it in lekka, and over the summer, I just didn't catch on to the fact that my plants were drying out so fast, like quickly enough to adjust how often I was refilling the lekka reservoir. But as a result, I did kind of get to it late a few times, and so the leaves did take a little bit of a hit, but now I have it in self-watering, not just a vessel with lekka in it, and so I can see the gauge on it and I can see like where it's doing with water. Before I put it into the self-watering pot, I was able to inspect the roots, and it's rooted like crazy. Like, these love lekka. So if you're having trouble with your pasta xanum or your pasta xanum silver, maybe try and put it into lekka, because this thing absolutely loves it. I am, you know, of course sad that I kind of like fucked the leaves up a little bit, but that's just my fault for like not getting on the watering fast enough. And hopefully now that it's in the self-watering pot, it's gonna do much better. I am actually planning on taking this plant to my greenhouse soon, so I'm hoping that it's gonna absolutely thrive in there. It did give me a new leaf a couple weeks ago, but it was unfurling during the time when I did kind of forget to water it, so it is not the most spectacular of new leaves, but I will take it nonetheless. I think that the next one will probably be really awesome, because this plant has rooted absolutely a ton, and it's been getting really consistent water for the past couple weeks since I put it into the self-watering pot. So a little bit of a 2 steps forward, 1 step back on this plant with, you know, getting it nice and rooted, getting it into self-watering, but also, you know, getting some leaf damage. But that's okay. Pasta xanum are pretty resilient, so I'm not super worried about it. Plus, like, you know, anytime you have an import, you're gonna have to like kind of baby it for a while. So here's the pasta xanum silver. It's gelling, it's still doing good, and I can't wait to see what this plant does for me in the next couple of months. Next was this beautiful Philodendron varicosum that I traded a friend of mine for. I sent her some beautiful pinned butterflies. That's kind of like my other little hobby that I do. And she gave me a Philodendron varicosum. It actually grew a lot more than this, but unfortunately this plant was kind of a casualty of grow tent Jenga, aka I dropped a plant on it. Because my grow tent is like so full. It unfortunately kind of like damaged part of the stem, so I just took a cutting. But yeah, I mean, it's already growing new shoots, so I'm sure it's gonna be fine. But I am really excited because that little piece of the cutting that came off when I broke my plant, I'm actually trading that to someone for something really cool that she makes. So it's kind of cool that I traded something that wasn't a plant for this plant, and now I'm trading this plant for something that isn't a plant. Just keep in mind, like, if you're trying to grow your collection and you don't want to shell out tons of money, you might be able to find someone who will trade with you for, you know, something that you're doing anyway. Just keep in mind there are many creative ways to get your hands on plants. All right, so this is my beautiful Anthurium metallicum, and she's doing fine. Like, she hasn't declined at all. She's just been hanging out in the grow tent, but I will say that she hasn't really done anything. Hasn't put out any roots, hasn't put out any leaves. Not really sure what's going on with that. I wasn't really aware that these plants were like slow growing or difficult to root. And I had actually 2 of these because I found them at the Aquagenera pop-up, and this plant had been on a friend of mine's wish list for forever. Like, we'd been trying to find an Anthurium metallicum for her forever, so I grabbed one for her too. And that one rooted in the grow tent like crazy. And when I sent it to her, it had just like this nice juicy chunky root ball that was gorgeous. This one has literally done no such thing. I do think that it is working on a new leaf. I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to see it, but that little spike there in the center, I do believe that is a new leaf. So sometimes what'll happen is like the existing nodes on the plant will just kind of be spent, or maybe they're too old, or for whatever reason they're not energized to root. And so sometimes you need new nodes for roots to come out of. So maybe that is what's going on here. I legit still see 0 roots. So, I mean, I guess we'll just give her literally as much time as she wants, but until she has roots, I'm not gonna be able to take her out of the grow tent. So, kind of weird, but beautiful, beautiful plant. I can't wait to see if that little spike turns into anything or not, but still gorgeous. All right, so last, but certainly not least, in fact, this was the plant in the plant haul that I got by far the most comments saying like, oh my god, what is that? That's the coolest thing. I want that. And, you know, on top of that, this plant made an appearance as the grand finale of a plant haul of a really big YouTuber the other day. So I guess I can just say that I was ahead of the curve on this one. I had this plant for months before that person hauled theirs. So go me. Regardless, this is Anthurium Cyranoid Velvet. It is beautiful. It's doing really well. It also, just like the Magnificum, it's doing really, really well. It also, just like the metallicum, hasn't given me any new leaves yet, but it has put out a lot of roots in comparison to what the metallicum's been up to. I just was starting to run out of room in my grow tent, honestly, because I have so many freaking chacos in there now, but this had to come out, and since it had so many roots, I was like, it'll be fine. So I went ahead and put it into pond. It has just been chilling on my shelf, and I'm really hoping that eventually I get some leaves out of it, because that would be awesome. It would basically like make my whole like summer probably, but wow, look at that. This plant looks so dark usually, but because of the like the bright lights that I'm using to film, I feel like it's just got this like gorgeous iridescent sheen. And in my camera's viewfinder, it kind of like looks like it has some blue undertones to it. Like, I don't know if that's gonna be visible to anybody at home, but whew, I really love this plant. I cannot freaking wait until it gives me leaves. Like, please, please give me leaves. What do you need from me? What can I do for you? Love you, talk to you, sing to you. Self-watering should ensure that you never dry out. I don't know. Silly, but regardless, I love this plant. I think it's so cool, and I am really thrilled to have it, and I just really hope that it, you know, starts thriving soon. So there she is. Head test, I guess. Oh, I love Anthurium so much, you guys. They're just so fun. They're really not as difficult as everybody kind of thinks they are, but anyway, that is that. Thank you so much for coming and chilling with me. Don't forget to like and comment. And you guys must have figured it out by now that growth updates on the previous plant haul probably means that the next plant haul is coming down the pipe. And why, yes, that's very astute of you to notice. You may well be right on that front. And this may or may not be a plant haul of such epic proportions that we're gonna have to do it in multiple installments. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Okay, plant friends, that's gonna be it for today. Have a good one.